I think my microphone has been muted. Is everybody able to hear me? I'll start again just to be sure. Shabbat Shalom. Just a small word from me on Parshat Shemini, a parasha which is bookended by things that we don't always understand. And one of the segments of the parasha talks about the different animals, the different fish, the different birds and different insects which are kosher or not kosher. We have the laws of kashrut presented in this week's parasha. You know, we may be familiar that for animals, we know that they have to have split hooves and they have to chew the cud. That's what the Torah tells us. The fish have to have scales and they have to have fins. That's what the Torah tells us. But there's something that's very unique to the way in which the Torah presents which birds are kosher and which birds are not kosher, which ones we are allowed to eat and which ones we are not allowed to eat. You see, it gives us a list of all the birds that we are not allowed to eat. So therefore, it's very easy to know what we can do and what we can't do. We have to understand that what we put into our mouths has a spiritual effect. The phrase, "you are what you eat," rings very true when it comes to the laws of kashrut. And so it is very peculiar that if you have a look at this list of non-kosher birds, there's one which should stand out. And that is the bird known as the chasidah. The chasidah is a non-kosher bird. This is very unusual. If we are sensitive to the way that the Hebrew language works, we will notice that within that word chasidah is a very positive word, the word chesed, loving kindness. And indeed, Rashi tells us that this bird is called the chasidah because it provides food for its offspring, for other birds. So why then, if you are what you eat, should we not be allowed to eat the chasidah? Isn't that strange? We are encouraged to be chasidim. We are encouraged to be pious. What a lofty level to be on. We are always encouraged to do gemilut chasadim, acts of loving kindness, to be generous and to be benevolent. So why then can't we eat this bird, the chasidah? I should want to have that essence infused into my being. And yet perhaps the secret lies in what Rashi tells us, that the chasidah gives food, but only to birds of its kind. It only supports the birds that look and sound the same as it does. And that perhaps is why we are discouraged from eating the chasidah, because it's not a Jewish trait to only look after the people and to only care about the people who look and sound and smell and do everything the same way that we do. The Jewish trait of kindness is to be indiscriminate. Ahavas chinam, to love unconditionally, to give unconditionally, whoever it may be. Whatever we can do for another person, we are encouraged to do it. That is the trait that we are looking to emulate, but we do not learn that from the chasidah bird. A powerful little nugget there then, something to take with us as we go into Shabbat, to understand that the Jewish trait of giving reaches beyond just the people that we find on our comfort level, the people who look the same, who act the same, who do the same. There's not a concept, there's just a tendency that anything more observant than where we place ourselves is seen as fanatical. Anything that's less observant than when we place ourselves is seen as goyish, almost. What a horrible word that is. But we look down on people who we think do less than us. And we look strangely at people who do more than us. We get everything just the right balance. And so it's easy to think that we shouldn't be generous and we shouldn't give to people who don't fit exactly the criteria, exactly within our species. And that's exactly what the Torah is coming to teach us, to be indiscriminate with those that we help, to continue to give, to continue to be gracious and generous, and to help all those who might be in need. And with that, we wish you Shabbat Shalom.